Okay, hi everyone. Yeah, I actually didn't go to Evergreen, though I've spent a lot of time on your campus growing up in Olympia. Um, so my name is Alana Carr. I've thought about a lot of different ways to start this conversation, what to talk about and such, but I'm just gonna go with my name and that I love people, and that I'm also a small business owner. And like Paige said, I am at work right now, which is kind of typical. so um, I know the main topic of this conversation is about brick and mortar retail and online retail. And I would love it if people wanted to interject or ask questions at any point through this, please. But when I really think about what sets apart our stores from, you know, the vastness of the internet and all the shopping there is to be had, um, it's there's a lot actually that sets us apart. We could get really micro, we could get really macro, but at the end of the day, I think what the true difference is, the true thing that makes us so special is the human interaction. And I think that's true that the people are the most important part of any public facing business that operates within a community. So I grew up in and around two small businesses. My dad was a house painter in Olympia, and he ran his business out of our home. And we also had an organic blueberry farm that my dad still operates. That was also at our house. So we all participated in the farm on different levels throughout my life. I have really, a lot of memories about farm season, the summer, July through September, going to the farmer's market, delivering blueberries to the Olympia Food Co-op. So I really grew up around some small businesses. So as Paige said, I am part owner of three different retail businesses. Right now, this is the back room of our jewelry store. Our jewelry store is in Tacoma, in actually a neighborhood. It's called the Proctor District in the north end of Tacoma. And we're having a really busy day here, and that's why I'm here. So you're going to see people kind of walking in and out of the office. We're having a jewelry show. I think I'm going to go over a little overview of the three different businesses. So first up is Compass Rose. We have a location in Downtown Olympia, and then another location actually up here in Tacoma, which is about 3 doors down from the jewelry store. That was started by my business partner, Paul Shepard, who's also my friend. And that started well before I was involved. He opened the Downtown Olympia Compass Rose location in 1998. And he actually had a business in the Capitol Mall before that was called Accent Imports. About 11 years ago in 2013, we together opened this store, the Compass Rose store in Tacoma, which I'm a part owner of. My primary role at Compass Rose is I'm the buyer for the stores. And then I kind of deal with all things people. So I help with employee management. I help with customer service. I work in the store. I contribute to the visuals. There's a lot of different little pieces. And I think that's kind of the nature of small business, is doing a lot of little pieces. But something unique about Paul and my business relationship is that he takes care of all things numbers. So he does all the taxes, the payroll. Amongst many other things, of course. And I deal with the other side, and it's really interesting. We absolutely have overlap when it comes to big visioning and such, but we really are autonomous in what we do for the business. So that's Compass Rose. Something else unique about it is that there are actually 2 other owners recently that became owners, which are the manager and the assistant manager at the Tacoma location. So that's really interesting and very cool. And I actually met Paul a long time ago when I was living in Oaxaca, Mexico, which is where I really first met him. He started a small cafe there that I ended up working at. So he needed some coverage at his retail store in Olympia for about 3 weeks. And I'm from Olympia and I was ready to move back home. And so I came back to work retail in January or February. I think everyone was at shows buying. So Paul and I opened Captain Little as equal business partners in Downtown Olympia in August of 2014. We opened on a Saturday after the pet parade. There had been another toy store in the location where Captain Little is for more than a decade. It was very beloved in Downtown Olympia. It was called Wind Up Here, and it ended up going bankrupt. They had a store in Seattle as well, and they were closing. So we decided to reopen a toy and bookstore to kind of fill the gap in the community. It was nothing we had been planning on doing. Neither of us had been, like, oh, I'd love to open a toy store in my life, but it was really to kind of fill this niche it was a business opportunity, but it was also to fill this niche for the community. And I remember talking many times about it with Paul, that if anyone else had approached us during that initial period and been like, or approached the building owner and been like, hey, we'd really like to open a toy store here, we would have bowed out. But here we are, we're about to turn 10 years old at Captain Little. So when we decided we were going to do the toy store or a bookstore, something, in that nature, we like to joke that the best part of Wind Up Here continued on with us, who's actually a person. His name's Michael Temke, and he worked at Wind Up Here for a very long time and then joined our team and helped us open Captain Little. And about 3 years ago, he became a owner of the store as well. And I want to show you guys a picture of Michael. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. So this is Michael wearing his Captain Little shirt with his cute daughter picking blueberries. So, all right. Okay. So in case you can't tell, as I start to talk about the businesses, what I really love to talk about is the people. We have so many different people who have played very major collaborative roles in the creation and the maintenance and just the ongoing success of these businesses. That's definitely probably another talk, but if anyone has more questions about that, I'd love to talk more about it. So, I just really feel like our business story at the end of the day is about collaboration and trusting other people. And yeah, so. Okay, so, I'm going to share one more thing. This is a video from the grand opening of the toy store. And so this is Downtown Olympia. This just kind of shows some of the excitement. Maybe I can't do this actually. Okay, bear with me here. Okay, so that didn't work. We're moving on. Well, it was really fun. And maybe I'll try again later if we have time, if people are interested. Okay, so let's move on and talk about Lapis, which is the third business. Lapis, we opened about 5 years ago, again, in the Proctor district of Tacoma. Emily Hennig, who's a really great friend of mine, manages the store here, and she actually became an owner of Lapis about 2 years ago. Like I said, Lapis is a jewelry store, and handmade gift is kind of how we like to think of it, fine gifts and such. And when we were conceptualizing it, the internet was booming. We were scared. We were just unclear. It felt very, very unclear about what the future of brick and mortar in-person retail was going to be. So when we decided to do jewelry, we thought jewelry was something that forever people are going to want to touch and feel, have a connection to, be able to see in person, try it on, etc. And so we thought that it was going to work, and it has. When I think about jewelry, people really, it's very personal. So I guess kind of felt like people wanted to have a relationship with the store, the relationship with knowing more about the artist. Anyway, so that's where we were with a store like ours. I thought I could maybe walk out onto the floor really quick and show everybody the store if people are interested. One of our theories about having an inviting retail space is having movement. So in Olympia at Compass Rose, for example, we have a very large fan in the center of the store, and it creates movement, and it kind of gives the air of change and kind of dissipates any stagnation. That's the hope and the theory. Here at Lapis, we actually share this space with another business that you all are very possibly familiar with. It's Olympia Coffee Roasters. So we actually have common spaces that we share. We share restrooms and a hallway and some closets and such. And you'll see in a moment here, part of our design was to have a glass wall between us and an open doorway so that people could move between the two spaces. So I'll take this off of me. Let's go take a little tour of Lapis. This is the door to the coffee shop. There's part of our show happening right now. And that's the coffee shop. I'll try and not make anybody seasick here. As you can see, we're in a neighborhood. Lots of windows. And here's the open doorway between our two spaces. And when both businesses are open, there's really nice flow. So, and that's Emily, the famous. Okay, I'm gonna go back in the office. All right, well, I hope that was vaguely interesting. Great. So I hope that like through that moment, you're able to kind of get a little bit of a feel about what we're doing. Another thing that if people have questions about, I'm happy to talk about it more, but this is the only business that we do have an e-commerce site for Lapis. It's our only store with any online presence where you can do any purchasing beyond a gift card online. And it's a big experiment for us. It's not our forte, but we have great people on staff. We're doing it all in-house. And people aren't really buying stuff online, but we so frequently get people coming in with their phones or referencing something and being like, hey, I saw this online, I'd like to see it in person, which is just as valuable to us. So we'll see how that unfolds. It definitely does not make me want to put merchandise from any of the other stores online or go that direction. It's just kind of not, it's just not what we're doing. So, but yeah, so it's a big experiment. Stay tuned. I don't know if anyone's checked out our websites or not, but the others are very minimal. I can't really remember the last time we updated them. It's probably not great. So all three businesses continue to really grow and thrive. We actually, all locations, all just had their best year ever, especially Captain Little, which is very heartwarming. Yeah. And we hope that that continues into the future. We've had so many hurdles, probably all the types of hurdles that you've heard of in terms of retail or any type of small business having. We've definitely had a lot of challenges. We survived through COVID, and then just all the day-to-day challenges. It's very interesting because we do have the stores in the different neighborhoods. We're actually really able to directly compare and contrast people's theories about what could be affecting sales. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Do we think that the internet is going to eat brick and mortar retail? No, we definitely don't. We definitely don't. The jury's out, but we sure don't think so. So as you can see, we really try and cultivate very curated spaces, whatever that means for the different stores. We really try and create spaces and places that people want to be in, that people would enjoy spending time in. We hope to be part of people's regular parts of people's lives. We've all had the experience of buying something online. You know, you buy it, you order it, maybe you think about it for a long time, maybe you don't. Something you're excited to get, and it comes in the mail, and maybe the box is cute and the tissue is custom and you like it, and then you're happy with whatever it is. Maybe the shoes fit great and that's awesome. You're glad it worked out so well. What a good experience. You have the thing, whatever. But then that moment is over. Um, in contrast, we are really hoping to provide those types of, or kind of create those types of experiences, those in-person experiences that stick with you. You know, you go into a store and you have a good experience with someone working there, or you meet someone you like, or you are kind of inspired by the colors, or it just feels good, or it smells good, or whatever it is. And then you think about that. You tell someone about it. Those are the types of experiences that we're really trying to cultivate, and that I think really set us apart from the online shopping experience. And hopefully will help us all stick around. We really want people to feel things when they come into the store. Yeah, really have those social experiences. Over the years, I mean, we have customers that come in regularly just to say hi. We've been part of people's lives, you know, for many years, and it's a really wonderful place to be. We also invest in our spaces. We work with a merchandiser who is brilliant. Her name is Leslie. She's a full-time employee at the stores, and she actually moves around to the different store locations throughout the week and touches everything. She touches things, she refreshes, she puts things out, she rearranges, she has big ideas. What if we painted this wall? What if we, you know, I'm always in wow of she's not scared of a project. So yeah, Leslie's brilliant, and she's a really integral part. And investing in having someone so talented like Leslie to teach staff and to maintain the stores, I mean, that's not small. It's not a small part of what we do. And I think it's really worthwhile. I walk in regularly and I think, oh, wow, this is so beautiful. Yeah, so Leslie's pretty incredible. One thing that comes up really regularly, of course, when we're thinking about online retail versus brick and mortar is pricing, of course. How can you compete, you know, with online pricing? And the truth is, at the end of the day, that our prices are competitive with online retailers. Where before that wasn't necessarily something that we think about. That's definitely one of the driving decisions when we bring in products to the store is what's the landscape like online? Is this something that we are able to carry competitively? And so that kind of affects our assortment. This is something I could talk a lot about. So if people have more questions about that, I'd be happy to go into that more later, or in a minute when we do question and answer. But the truth is that our pricing is competitive, and we think that we offer value that you can't get online. Like I said, that in-person interaction, we offer complimentary gift wrap at all of our stores, which definitely has costs associated with it, of course. You know, but yeah, it's online retailers don't necessarily have a financial advantage. We are in neighborhoods, we're in small communities, you know, so it's interesting. What I think about frequently that is really interesting is that there is one category specifically that we cannot compete with online, but we continue to be very successful with, and that is books. And when I say online, I do mean Amazon. We can't compete with Amazon in terms of books, but book sales continue to be strong and grow. Books at Captain Little are a very large category for us. It kind of changes over the years, like what is the strongest category, but it's always top 5. And it's interesting. It's just very interesting to me. Last year we sold, I just looked this up last night, 7,095 books at Captain Little. And at the Compass Rose stores last year, we sold about 12,000 books. Authors are continually creating, you know, beautiful children's books. And it's actually very joyful for us to have people coming into the store and experiencing them, standing there reading the books and having like visible reactions to these beautiful books. I don't know why they continue to perform well, except for all the things that I've talked about. People can frequently buy any of the books in the store that we carry for, you know, $1 to $5 less online. Um, so why are they buying them in the store? I I'm not sure. So I think at the end of the day, like I said, it's everything we talked about. It's knowing the condition of the book when you purchase it. It's that instant gratification. It's our gift wrapping. Um, you know, and I think that people feel, I know I do, I can speak in personal experience. I love buying books and I love gifting books. I think it's something that people really feel good about, and I'm thankful for that. And I hope it will continue. So, so some of it can't really be explained, but we're here for it. Okay, so the last little piece that I have planned on talking about is really the employee part of it and the people part of it. And for us, that's kind of at the heart of our business and our business structure is our employee retention and having a good workplace. It's like really, it's very integral to our business model. We have very high employee retention at all of the stores, and I'm very proud of that. And it's challenging, all of the challenges I'm sure you hear about, but honestly, we work with amazing people. Um, we work with a very dynamic group of people, and retail itself is very dynamic. We have people who are very detail oriented, people who are very gregarious and outgoing. We have, sometimes you feel like a social worker, sometimes you feel like a psychologist, um, some of us just love people, and it shows, and there's room for so many different types of dynamic people within retail. So one thing that we did recently last January, I would believe, is we went to a 4-day work week as a full-time work week for our staff at Compass Rose and Captain Little. Just decided 5 days a week was not enough time, personal time for people. It also lets people take off 4 days of, 4 days of work and get a 10-day vacation. There's a lot of benefits to it. And so what we did is that we gave everybody a raise so that they would not be taking a pay cut. And we decided that 4 days a week was the full time. And for 11 months of the year. And no one is complaining. People definitely like it. For fourth quarter, or not even fourth quarter, for the second half of November and December, full-time staff do go to 5 days a week. But the rest of the year, it's 4 days a week, and it's really worked out. It's worked out very well. We also have fully employer-funded healthcare benefits at Compass Rose stores for full-time employees, and at Captain Little, we fund IRAs for our full-time staff. So I think that all of these little things, I think that having employees, the employee retention, having employees stay at the stores really makes a difference. You're able to form relationships, get to know people as people over the years, and it's really lovely, and it's something that I enjoy thoroughly personally within the stores. We've been part of the milestones for customers throughout the years, good and bad, and I really see a lot of value in these human interactions, and we think our community does too. And we just really hope that we've created spaces, or we know it's spaces where people come to meet each other, spaces where people come to be alone. And I really hope and don't think that's going to change. So I think with that, if people have some questions, I'm happy to talk about, or I'll try and answer any questions. And if I'm not able to, I'll definitely get back to you later if that works, Paige.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. While
Oh yeah.
coming up with questions, let's just take a moment to pause, and you can react however you want to show Alana some appreciation for being here today.
I would like to say that our back room is not always this chaotic, but it is.
Okay. Well.
So
That's incredible. I see 3 people have their hands raised, but I just want to read you some of the things that are in the checks. They're really lovely, and I would want to hear them.
Mhm.
Picturing.
Oh, that's so nice.
I love Captain Little. That's one. That's such an awesome
Oh.
store, beautiful store. As a customer of your 3 stores, I can attest to the incredible customer service your team provides. It is very much about the experience, as you said. I love to bring my grandchildren into Captain Little to share the experience with them. Not something you can do online. You have chosen inventory carefully and very friendly staff. It is the best kind of shopping experience. You're very thoughtful about creating a humanistic environment for customers and for your staff. Congratulations, Alana.
Oh, thank you.
So we feel
Well,
the
it's very much a big team effort. I just really can't reiterate that enough. There are so many people involved, but I will pass on the compliments.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so the person who I see who has their hand raised first is, if you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question, you can.
Yeah, at the jewelry store, we are online. We are fully online. Not everything, but yes, we have
Okay.
a e-commerce website. Yeah. Um, well, it's us. Um, we had, well, so I have a friend who runs a business building websites. Her name's Danielle Roos, and her business is August Creative. And her business partner, Michael, they actually launched our first website for us. They helped us build it. Um, sorry, I heard an echo. They helped us build the site. They did an amazing job, and we've kind of taken it from there. And so we work on it in house. So Nora, who you've seen in and out of the office here, she does a lot of the copy work. And we actually have an employee named Stephanie who's working out on the floor right now as well, who takes beautiful photographs and has a lot of experience with copy editing. And we are just piecing it together. Medium. That much online. We are we are selling a lot of one thing online, like a lot. Like every single day, we are selling a purse from a brand called Claire V, based out of LA. I'm not exactly sure why, but we have a sale pretty much every day for this line of handbags. It's just really interesting. And we are selling jewelry online a little bit, but it's at this point, it's mostly been kind of a point of reference for people who are shopping in person. We hope that will change, but we're not sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, right now we're having a jewelry show. For us to get all of these, there's like 100 one-of-a-kind rings. For us to get them all online, we had about 24 hours with the rings is not really possible. So Nora and Stephanie spent yesterday creating a collection of about 20 pieces of jewelry, 20 to 30. Actually, I'm not sure where the final count ended, that we were calling our favorites, and we put them on our website. We have a very active Instagram, and we are not necessarily hoping to sell any of those rings online, any of the jewelry online, but we are hoping that it will push traffic to our website so people will spend some time on it. And we're hoping to kind of to boost it. But it doesn't really seem like our future. Our future is not really online, from what I can tell, for us.
Okay, next question.
Thanks.
So kind of, are you kind of asking about like losing momentum? Totally. So like for me to essentially be able to like step away and for them to continue. You know, I think that this happens a lot of the time with small businesses. I guess first, that's not necessarily my goal to step away from it. But I'm very much involved, but we also have so, like I've said, there are so many people that are very heavily involved in the stores. I am not the store manager at any of the stores. We have managers at every store location, and actually the managers at 3 out of the 4 stores are actually owners now in the businesses in the last 3 years. The manager at the Compass Rose Tacoma store is a part owner. Emily, who's been in and out of the office here, she is a part owner of this business. And Michael at Captain Little is a part owner. And, you know, I'm sure that, oh, here's Paul. That's my business partner, Paul. I'm sure that will change and expand over the years, the ownership structure. So I think really, I guess I could call it the redistributing of the power, the distributing of the decision making and such, and really giving people a lot of decision making and autonomy is something we really believe in, and I think that that will continue to propel us forward. We just signed another 5-year lease with an option to for another 5-year renewal for Captain Little. Does that kind of answer your question? Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, it's a great question. I love Downtown Olympia. I think I'll start there. I think that we are really lucky to have such a vibrant downtown. I go to other cities, and Olympia's downtown's amazing. There's bakeries, there's a mechanics, there's shops and restaurants, nightlife. You know, it's actually a very unique mix in a very dense area or a very small area for a town. We definitely have challenges downtown. We have challenges downtown in downtown Olympia that we don't experience necessarily in the Proctor neighborhood. Do they affect our business? I don't know. Like I said, Captain Little is having their best year ever. Just had their best year ever, and it looks like they're going to beat that year again. So it's really hard to say if some of what's happening downtown affects us negatively or not. I think that our customers are very compassionate. I think that there are a lot of problems that aren't unique to downtown Olympia that downtown Olympia is experiencing. And I hope that we can figure out better health services and housing for everyone. So yeah, we actually love being part of the downtown Olympia community. Was there anything more specific you wanted me to talk about with downtown? Yeah, yeah, totally. I think that there's good and bad with all of it. Arts Walk is one of our biggest theft nights of the year at the stores. It's where we experience the most missing merchandise for sure. It's not like a good sales event, but we still love it. We definitely put away certain things, but we love seeing everybody downtown. I mean, it's a pretty amazing community event. Same as the Love Oli Fest. It was like a little loud last year, for example, at Captain Little. That was like really challenging for staff. They had a stage right outside of the store. So we're talking with people who are more involved in the planning at how to kind of like mitigate some of these issues. But I absolutely love Art Walk. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. And it's really uplifting to just see so many people out and about filling the streets in downtown Olympia. We love having the streets closed. So it's but like I said, it's one of our biggest theft events. And just to kind of go back one step, in terms of the scenes in downtown Olympia, in Tacoma, we have never had a broken window at our stores. Captain Little just recently experienced one of their first broken windows in almost 10 years. That's pretty remarkable. And, at Compass Rose, we've actually never had a broken window downtown, except for a group of 3 men who had left a bar in the middle of the night and were having a fight and cracked our window in the back. So when people think about the challenges of downtown, we've never had someone experiencing homelessness break one of our windows. It's always been patrons, or like bar patrons and stuff late at night and things like that. So it may not be exactly what you think. So, yeah. Of course, thanks.
Okay, next we have the hand up.
In terms of structural, those have been some of the biggest, like for the spaces, right? The windows, we love open doorways and such. Honestly, propping our doors open at all times as much as we can, weather permitting, is a big deal. It's so interesting how opening a door can really stop someone from coming into a store or space they haven't been in. So we like to keep our doors open. I'll think on that. We're constantly thinking about flow, though, how people move through the store. People generally walk in and go to the right. So our stores are oriented that way. Captain Little has, the first thing we bought when we decided to do Captain Little was a large robot. Its name is Tinker now, but it's a retired ride from the 50s from an amusement park, actually. And so that lives right at the entrance to the store, about 12 feet in, and we actually replaced the front of it with a little plexiglass panel so you can look out, and children are actually able to enter the robot and kind of play with it. So it's like really a fun interactive element right when you walk into the store.
Cool.
Yeah. Did you have another question? Oh, it's always really challenging. Like how do I spend my time? Is that kind of what you mean? Yeah. Um, just trial and error. I don't know. A work in progress always trying to figure out. You're kind of talking about like that line between professionalism and friendship. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Yeah, I think it's tricky. I think that I'm very good friends with many of our employees and others not as much. And it's just kind of it just really depends. Yeah. It's kind of a constant conversation with myself, constant trying to figure out how we can always do better. I don't know. Tricky. It can be tricky.
Okay, the next question comes from the chat. It's how do you decide on pricing your products?
Hmm. So we across the industry, not just for us, there's a really standard uh, retail markup, and that is you can say call it keystoned, but most things are doubled um, throughout the industry. So really standard markup would be 100% or a 50% cost, however you want to look at it, but doubling of pricing. And within different specific industries, that kind of changes a little bit. So generally speaking, like I know that in the fine jewelry industry, like a traditional jewelry store, the markup is much higher than that. Here at Lapis, that is not how it works. We operate under a much more traditional retail model. So within that, sometimes something is from a local maker and that type of markup doesn't make sense for their product. They're not, that's just not how they maybe retail themselves. And they're also selling to us. And so then we would take a smaller markup on the product. But yeah, everything is very consistent. Everything is very consistent throughout the stores, more or less. So.
Okay, next question comes from hand raised.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We actually do remarkably well. We haven't had really any conflict at all. We are the primary leaseholders for the space, so we essentially rent to Olympia coffee roasters. And when we draft up that rental agreement, we did it together and we agreed on terms. Who would take care of what? Who would be responsible for this, that, etc. So it's all laid out very clearly, and they've been like wonderful neighbors. We think they like us too. We hope they do. But yeah, it's honestly, I think laying things out really clearly in the beginning, expectations, if something breaks, etc. Who's responsible for what. And then in terms of government regulations, they are completely their own autonomous business in their own space. So for example, the bathrooms are part of the coffee shop. They are not ours. They're not like we use their facility, but it is part of their space. Like all of their space is their own. So we really don't overlap in that way. They have like a separate HVAC requirements, for example. Does that answer? Okay, great.
Your hand raised, you're the next question.
Yeah, so we actually don't do any of the manufacturing of our own jewelry here. We represent different independent artists. So that really varies from artist to artist. I think, like I could tell you, for example, that the jewelry artist that we're working with today, she only uses recycled 14 karat gold and sterling silver. They are very unique because it's actually a husband and wife team, and the husband is a lapidary. So they do all of their stone cutting in-house. So they buy raw material. In the past, we've been curious, like, hey, where exactly does this stone come from? She can actually tell you who she bought it from, where it was mined, etc. And we can pass on that information to the customers. So it just really varies artist to artist. Some of that information is on our website. It's definitely generally available on the artist websites. And then in the store, we have quite a bit of knowledge about each of the artists we work with. If that makes sense.
Okay. Next question in the chat is, do you have any future goals for your business?
I hope that they continue to thrive. I don't necessarily, I'm not looking for more growth per se. Like, I'm not looking to open another business personally, or be busier per se. So in terms of goals, I hope everyone continues to be happy and find satisfaction in their work and involvement in the community. So yeah, beyond that, not necessarily.
Okay. And next question is, sorry, I got lost.
And I'm sorry, I keep looking at the cameras here. We have a panel of cameras, so I apologize.
Okay. I'm having scrolling difficulty. Okay. What are some marketing strategies that have worked out, not just worked out, but worked out like even better than you've expected for your business?
That's a good question. It's really hard to tell when marketing works, is the conclusion that we have drawn. It's really hard to measure the success of any type of marketing. We have done a bunch of different things. So we've taken out ads on NPR. Sometimes people say, hey, I heard your ad. We've done billboards in Tacoma, actually, which has been a lot of fun. Once someone said that they saw our billboard and decided to come in. It was a reminder. It was a good regular customer. I guess what I'm getting at, it's really hard for us to measure success. When we first opened, I'll tell you something that didn't work, which when we first opened Lapis, we sent out a postcard. We did a mass mailing. I forget how many thousands of postcards we sent out. And we wanted to really be able to measure how successful it was. So on the postcard, it was like, bring in this postcard for, and I don't remember what promotion it was. It's like 10% off or something like that. And we got like 0 postcards. I mean, maybe we got like 10 or 20, but we sent out thousands of these in the mail. So we have a really hard time gauging what works and what doesn't. I think that holding community events, we love holding community events. I actually had a really cute video, a really great video of Captain Little. We had an event where someone local who also worked at the store, Erica Fries, had a small concert, and it was so well attended. And kids were singing along, and parents were so happy, and there were adults and children and teens and people of all ages. And it was such a success. So it's really kind of like in-person events. When we advertise for them, that's the only way we can tell if something's been successful, is basically by attendance. Yeah, that's a really great question. They say you should spend a lot of money on advertising. One of our biggest forms of advertising is we donate a lot of money out every year from all the stores in terms of gift cards to different events. I don't know if anyone on this Zoom has ever solicited us to be involved in one of their events by way of donating for a raffle or something like that. That is something we do for advertising. But yeah, in terms of successful advertising, if someone wants to tell me about that, I'd love to hear it. So.
Okay, we only have time. Well, it's 2 o'clock now.
Okay,
Do you have time for one more question?
sure. We can do one more question.
It's a pretty straightforward one. Do
Great.
you have payroll and accounting recommendations?
Do I what?
You have payroll and accounting recommendations.
Oh, yeah, my business partner, Paul. He's great.
Okay,
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Alana. There's more to read in the chat. I will make sure that you get to see everything. I'll send that your way afterwards. But please, everyone, show your thanks for Alana joining us today. Great way to kick off the series.
Yeah, thanks again, Alana.